So now I'm set up to play. I put these where they're within easy reach to move them in and out of the Congress space. Counted out the appropriate number of checks and X's, stacked the decks. I did get a chance to look at this. And I mean, he basically states it right here. I created this as a love letter to one of the most successful movements in American history. Some nice. I didn't find the designer's notes all that terribly useful in terms of, hey, why did you make design choices that you did? It doesn't go so much into that. It does give credit to 1960, which is always a nice, a nice gesture. I mean, you know, the way copyright law works, you can basically lift a game's mechanism. The only thing that could kind of get in the way is if there was a physical mechanism you could actually patent, you know. But yeah, the way copyright works, the concept, you couldn't lift the rules and just copy paste them. And I've actually seen games that did that, but that would be a plagiarism case. But yeah, you can't copyright ideas, essentially. And it's an idea that is the core meaning behind a game. Which is why you never, you know, you see people doing very derivative games and none of it is, you know, most designers are very kind, yeah, sounding about it, but the truth is they have no recourse. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, you know, he talks a little bit about how the cards don't represent a tidy history. There's some ugly parts in even what we see as the, you know, more moral side of the suffragists. Suffragette, he points out, is was a derogative term actually in the time. And then a little bit about the starting cards that players have and the choices. Well, actually, the Declaration of Sentiments, which matches or attempts to match or mirrors the Declaration of Independence, but how there was sort of this glaring, you know, acceptance of the patriarchy in our original documents. You know, all men are created equal, very, very specific. Of course, man was seen as not as a more inclusive term, so it is problematic. But certainly in terms of, you know, how the society was structured, women had significantly less rights than they should. And an explanation of all the little things here. Nice thing, a really comprehensive list of the play testers. You know, sometimes I look at a game and there's like 5 play testers on it. And what I don't know is, does that mean you sent it to one group of 5 people, or are these the play testing leads? It would be nice to distinguish that here. It's pretty clear they got a fair number of people involved in trying this game out and getting it, and some names I recognize on there as well. All right, and a little bit of a disclaimer. So one of my personae that I used to take on when, not so much with my recently passed wife, it just didn't work as well with her, probably because she wasn't American, but was a very, very sort of misogynistic character. I can exemplify it best by, I would use a quote from Heinlein. I believe it's from Heinlein. One of his books, one of his characters had this, but I wouldn't put it beyond him either, which is, we should, it's not that we shouldn't have taught women how to read, we should have never taught them how to write. Or no, we should have never taught them how to speak. Jesus, you know, spoil the whole damn thing. Anyway, yeah, I get a little confused sometimes. But, I may, under circumstances, take on that persona. Don't take too much offense. Yeah, I may actually examine the roots of that, because I do wonder, between that and some of my other thinkings, just, am I sort of inherently misogynist? Or, oh God, I'm going to be a weeping liberal now. As opposed to what I really kind of feel like I'm more on. But I am curious about, is there a tendency there? Because, I'm willing to admit other things that are not considered attractive in today's society. And I would admit that if I believed it. But on the other hand, I very much kind of believe in sort of a shared partnership. But I don't know. There are things that lead me to wonder just how much I have sort of a rebellion in me against that. Anyway, we're going to start the game, and the first thing you do is you deal out the cards. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These starting cards are kind of important. They give you your starting pieces. So you probably are going to play them as your first card. The Patriarchy is kind of just establishes the initial condition. So instead of making it a setup situation, you're given some choice. Maybe you want to play something else. And then we go to the strategy phase. I've set up the states. 3 of them aren't in there. I've tried to position them kind of order-wise a little bit. New York should probably be on the other side of New Jersey, but who cares? And these give you a certain kind of goal. These states are ones that are particularly interesting for maybe creating a snowball effect. And then there's 3 of these strategy cards. There is no strategy phase in the first turn, so I don't have to stop and think there, which means we go directly into operations. But let's take a little peek at the cards and see what we're looking at here. So California, draw 2 cards from your draw deck, discard 1, and play the other card for an event immediately. I don't know how powerful that's going to be, right? Utah, add 6 cubes, only yellow for the suffragists. In the West region, no more than 2 per state. That's nice. So Utah becomes kind of an important bellwether to try to roll more stuff there. One thing that I was considering is it doesn't take into impact or into account the size of the state, either in population or in distance, in terms of the expense. Another thing is the time period of this game is going to feel kind of compressed. I've got some worries along those lines, because if you look at it, it feels like it's going to be the same kind of length of game as like a 1960, which, represents maybe a year's campaigning in that time period. The campaigns were shorter, actually, so probably less than a year. But this is, covering more than 50 years of history if you take it by its wording. So it may feel a little bit too much like a short, a short political campaign. We'll see. I mean, level of abstraction and all rises as you spend more time. Illinois gives 6 cubes. Same like Utah does. Pennsylvania, same thing, 6 cubes in the Atlantic and Appalachian region, which is the region they're in. New Jersey gives you 2 buttons and 3 cubes to 2 states determined at random. Oh no, that's the Opobot. Sorry. Yeah, it gives you 2 buttons. That's not really that impressive seeming to me. It doesn't seem like it has the same power. Whereas New York is the big one that gives you the 6 and 6. Montana and Georgia are buttons. Virginia, like California, has 2 cards from the deck. Use 1 for an event. Okay. And I should probably have Virginia and Pennsylvania near each other because they're from the same region. Now we have three. By the way, as to the randomizing states, I thought to myself, wow, there's a lot of states. That's hard to do, but they're actually built into the system. It may be mentioned in the Oppo-Bot, and you don't ever have to do it in the standard game. But you have 1 through 6 roll to get the region, and then each region has 8, so you can roll. Not quite so easy. Oh no, there's an 8-sided die. Yeah, you can roll a 1 through 8. Yeah, I was going to wonder, does the Oppo-Bot give you? Yeah, the Oppo-Bot gives you 8-siders as well. But yeah, I got confused by the many-sided four-sided dice. Opposition research. Your opponent has to lose half their buttons, rounded up. And change in plans. Look at your opponent's hand. Your opponent must discard 1 card of your choice that does not have one of these symbols on it. Your opponent then draws 1 replacement card from their draw deck. I don't know how powerful that is. If they're holding something neat, it would be useful, but you don't really know that. Okay. Let us now take a look, because the suffragist player goes first. So Seneca Falls, and by the way, let's take a look at what we should know, which is the Patriarchy card. It gives a campaigner in the South region. Looks more like the female. Oh no, it's the beer guy. And receive 4 buttons and add 1 cube to each state in the Northeast, the Atlantic and Appalachian, and the South and the Midwest regions. So basically all of the old area of the U.S. Remember, the West actually embraced women's right to vote much quicker. So all of the old areas of the U.S. states are going to be a little bit entrenched comparatively. Here, this is going to be add 1 of each of the people in the Northeast region and receive 2 buttons and add 2 cubes in New York. Let's see what else we got, though. Roll a d8, add that number of cubes in the Plains region, no more than 1 per state. Okay. Petition Congress. You get a bonus. So this looks powerful, actually. You get a bonus in Congress and add 1 cube in each state of each region. Property rights for the remainder of the turn, roll a d6 instead of a d4 when campaigning. Sojourner Truth, roll a d8, add that number of cubes in the Midwest, no more than 1 per state. So these events, it looks hard to choose to use your card for anything other than the events. The events seem powerful. Add 2 to each of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Playable if the Civil War is not in effect. Add 1 to Congress and 1 of either color cube in each state of each region. In 1 state of each region. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. So what happens? What are my other options that I can do, right? Campaigning action, I roll a d4, and I'm going to be able to get per campaigner. I'm going to be able to get that many cubes, essentially. It doesn't seem that powerful. Player card for an organizing action. The player takes as many star buttons as they have campaigners. Play a card for lobbying. Each 6, 1 die per campaigner. Each 6 gets them a congressional vote. Well, with only 2 campaigners, well, actually none in play, not much happens. So I am going to put, we're not out there with flags yet. We're going to put 2 of these up in the Northeast. I don't know why I'd want 1 color over another. And I don't know what the 2 colors are meant to represent. But I'm going to put 2 purple cubes in New York, because other things seem to create yellow cubes. Now this could go in a discard pile next to the deck. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just keep them over there, because, hey, table space. So that's the first action. And now we'll take a look at what the opposition cards are. And they're probably going to start with the patriarchy as well. But we don't know. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states in Dixie get cubes. Remove a thing from Congress. No reason I do this yet. For the remainder of the term, the suffragists may not add cubes in the Appalachian and South regions. That's an interesting and powerful thing. Now, when it says may not add cubes, I do end up with a little bit of a question, because the cards and the actions say add cubes, but it could mean removing cubes. I wish this were a little bit more explicit, especially, well, there's not a hell of a lot. I would say, since the action of adding cubes is what removes cubes, we're gonna not, we're gonna take it to be inclusive, but I'm not sure if that's the intention. Roll a die on a 3 through 6. Remove a congressman and 2 things in South Dakota. Well, we don't want to remove congressmen yet, so those aren't, because there aren't any. Add 1 in each of Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, and Missouri. Of course, I could play these for the other actions. Horace Greeley, put 2 cubes in each of New York and Connecticut. Again, that's 4. That's probably about the average that I would get with 2 campaigners. But I get some targeting, so that may be a good card to use elsewhere. This is roll a die in a 4-sider, and add that number of cubes anywhere. Again, that's probably about the amount that I'd get off 2 campaigners. What I'd really like to do is get more campaigners. We're going to start off with the patriarchy, though. And we add, they say to put the beer drinker there, man. Here, is it the flag girl? No, it's the one without. I'm going to put this. The beer drinker feels more northern. I don't know. And add 1 cube in each state in the Northeast, Atlantic and Appalachian, the South, and the Midwest. Okay. This cube is that. This is going to be kind of expensive, kind of painful to do, so I'm not going to show you everything. I'll come back when I'm done. Other than New York State, where Seneca is, everything's pretty much covered in reactionary forces. I was thinking another interesting thing that's missing from this game is, if we're talking 1848 as the starting point, I don't know, Missouri's certainly a state. Kansas and Nebraska aren't states yet. So basically this section, California is, I think. This section of the board and the West, other than California, seem to be Oregon, whatever, aren't states yet, which should have some impact. Again, I'm probably looking at a much more complex game, but the truth of the matter is, beginning to deploy pieces over here might make sense, but it's almost as though less congressional support is necessary. But the truth of the matter is that Congress would be exceedingly more conservative with all these states here. So, again, I'm more interested in seeing that kind of model that shows the expansion of the Western states opens up a larger percentage of states that are already aligned with the suffrage movement. I'm kind of fatigued after just doing 1 card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause there and come back. Moving forward before my addiction sucks me in for the rest of the day. What would be helpful? And I mean, there's so much in terms of excess material in the game, but some kind of player aid or something. I'm thinking maybe the back of the board, but to just spell out, like, just even a card would do, to just spell out the different effects to the 3 action options, what they actually provide, would be useful. 2 of them, 1 for each player, if it's just a card. Because I have to, it's not a complex game, and very quickly you'd become aware of what these are, but I have to contemplate, hey, what are my options here? So I gotta look at these again. Campaign actions are to get cubes off a die roll. Organizing is to get buttons, 1 per campaigner. And lobbying action is dice, where each 6 gives you a congressional. So I want to look at these, and I also want to think about the states. Because one thing with the campaign action is I can put my cubes in the state I want to win that state, and thereby maybe spark something better, right? Which is one strong reason not to use the cards just for their events, even though the events are very, very sweet. So 2 in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. That's very appealing. But let's look at this. For the remainder of the turn, roll 6 instead of 4 for campaign action. Oh, man. So that increases the value of campaign actions. 1 per state. Oh. Obviously, getting the amendment through Congress is really, really important as well. And I kind of don't want to prevent that either. So I'm kind of iffy on playing this, because am I going... So this one will give me a D8. That's pretty rich. This one gives me 6. That's, again, not bad. A pair of 6-sided dice gives me 7, but this is almost as good. Of course, it's not putting them in New York, which would give me the spiraling of 6 more cubes in the Northeast. Ugh. It's hard to make your calls here. Whether you want to lay down groundwork for a big blast. I think what I'd like to do is hold this card for next turn. I think that's my goal, because my cards are too important right now. But that may mean that I lose a state that'll give a lot of additional impact. So something like Illinois could swing, an additional 6 cubes of play throughout, and that's somewhat worrisome. All right, this one has a requirement. The Civil War is not in effect. I'll take one of these. I'm allowed to add 1 of each color. Now, so far, I can't figure out a reason for my choice between one color or the other. There are 6 regions. I'll grab 3 of each color because that seems kind of more balanced, right? And I add 1 in 1 state of each region. Okay, I'm going to up New York, but I'm going to put 1 of the other color in New York. California is not that important. Utah is the important one here as far as I'm concerned. So I'll throw a yellow out in Utah. Pennsylvania is important. I'm going to use a purple in Pennsylvania, but it's just to burn that away. Okay. So I got to pay attention to where I've played, right? I played here. I played in the Appalachia. I played in the Northeast. I have South, Midwest, and Plains left. Okay. South Georgia is the only interesting place. So I will spend a purple and get rid of the Georgia vote. Montana is the only plains state of any interest. So I'll put a purple there. And Illinois is interesting here. So we'll play that. This card doesn't have any additional play. I'll put it here. I'm going to keep the different decks separated. I could probably flip the start one over and just keep the earlies there. That'll give me more room. All right. This is actually the second impulse. I don't track impulses. That's tracked by the number of cards. Okay. So let's go with the thinking on us right manly folk. All right. Three through six gets rid of that congressional, gets me some power, interesting. I could play the Civil War. That would halt things kind of in the heart, Virginia and whatnot, Pennsylvania as well, and get rid of a congressional. I think this is a good idea. I'm going to play this for the rest of the turn. That gets rid of this. And for the rest of the turn, the suffragist player cannot play in the South or the Atlantic, the Mid-Atlantic. All right. I should just keep these face up. Doesn't make a lot of difference. Okay. That would prevent a card like this from being as valuable, which makes things interesting. Now maybe this is the card that I hold, and I consider playing this. Midwest, I would be getting a D8 of pieces. Interesting. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. This becomes a bad card. I kind of want to keep this because getting these in play is kind of hard to do, especially with only two campaigners. So they seem kind of positive to me. Do I want to play property rights for women? That'll be better than this. That'll be better than this. This is already my hold card at this point. And this, yeah. I'm going to play property rights for women at this point for the event again. Okay. You know, I'm having a hard time bringing myself to getting buttons or rolling for Congress, or even, although now I'm going to be able to roll for actual state values, and we might be able to sway the Northeast pretty heavily in this direction. Of course, it doesn't matter all that much, but New York, converting New York and maybe New Jersey, those are valuable. Okay, so over here, border states, Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky. So I only have one, which puts me at even a weaker position in terms of cards versus what I can get. This is very flexible. One each in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. It's not going to get me two in New York and Connecticut. All right, I'm worried about New York, to tell you the truth, especially with that card and his placement. So I am going to play Horace Greeley, which gets rid of the two cubes in New York and gives me two more in Connecticut here. It's going to be kind of hard to see the things, the state locations there on this one. I flip over and put that in the early. Okay, so we're back, and we've decided this is going to be our hold card. We have no buttons. That's the one problem. So I want to hold on to cards that are of interest, because this can give me, it's going to give me an average of 4.5. This is not going to give shit. So I'm going to play this one in the east, or the northeast, and I get a pair of 6-sided dice because of this. I get 9 cubes. I've got no real limitations here. I'll put 4 of them in New York. That'll let me take this. I'll put 5 of them in New Jersey, which will let me take the New Jersey card. So I've just swayed the Northeast very strongly towards giving women a right to vote. How about that? Well, those cards are gone. Fighting for that, and note, a check mark doesn't appear here because Congress hasn't pushed it to the states yet. I'm just at 4. I could go higher. There's little reason to. Okay. This, I guess I would either hold or play for garbage. Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, and Missouri. So these guys, this is very loose. I could put this, it's really no better than being able to fill things in here, which might be better. So I'm going to play Old Dixie, which gets me Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, but not South Carolina. How much more Dixie can you get than South Carolina? All right. Well, now we're on the suffragists, who have multiple things they can do. Unless I plan on sweeping the Northeast, which maybe is what I want to do, I might want to move somewhere. I can't move anywhere without a button. However, I have so many cards. I only have 2 cards here, and I have stuff that's going to help me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my New Jersey card, which gives me 2 buttons. We'll take these 2. All right, that gives me 2 buttons to play with, which is kind of cool, because now I can move. Now I've already gained the advantages for the Northeast. Maybe it's time to leave there. Maybe not. So we look for the good places elsewhere. Illinois and Utah are the places that are appealing to me in terms of being able to create a lot of riches. California also has a card which might allow me to fiddle around with stuff in a nice way. So I'm going to pay a button to move. Oh, I didn't pay attention to which colors I was using. Like one die would be assigned to one to the other. I don't think it mattered. I think I could achieve what I did. I'm going to move someone out west. Okay, I roll, and now I'm going to campaign. I roll 2 dice again. I have to assign them. That's what I forgot to do. So I get a 5 and a 1. I'm going to put the 5 out here in California and the 1 in the Northeast. So that 1 cube in the Northeast I'll apply first. There is nowhere I particularly want to go in the Northeast. Connecticut, it's hard to tell because, hey, he's got 3 in Connecticut. Do I want to try to fight against that to some extent? Well, I don't know. It's not like it locks anything in. So we'll take the Vermonster. Okay. And then over here we've got 5, and these are all yellow that have to go here. I'm going to put 3 into Utah. That gets me the Utah card, which gives me tons and tons of pieces just like the New York card does. I'm only allowed to play 1 per. Then I got 2 more, which I'm going to drop both of them in California because I'm going to aim for the California card. Did I play a card? I don't think I discarded a card for this. These are essentially the same. It's the Midwest versus the Plains. I'm probably going to discard both, use both of these in the same manner. So screw that, man. I'll just throw the Plains one, I guess. Right? Okay. Now we're over here. This is no better than that. And I might be able to get Georgia, which would be of value if I play in the South. Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, and Missouri. I'm going to play in the South. This is 1 die. I only get 1. I was hoping to be able to push Georgia over so I could get the buttons from Georgia on my next play. Oh well. All right, we're back over here. Last card that I'm allowed to play here. And I'm going to play it for dice. And we'll see what I get. I get 2 and 5. What do I want to do with 2 and 5? Hard to call. Let's wipe out some of his stuff in the Northeast as well. Okay, so 2 in the West. I'll put in California. That lets me claim the California card. I can't use it yet, but that's okay. And 5 in the East. I'm going to clear out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just clear out his shit out of there. And then I'm going to play the New York tile. It allows me to play either color. Since I've got purple there, I'm going to play yellow. Again, I don't know that there's any value to these color differentiations. I'm sure there is, but I haven't seen much. I think it's pretty limited, whatever it may be. That gives me 6 I can play in the Northeast. Well, 2 of them, I'm going to get rid of this. The others, I will, kind of doesn't matter. I'll just power my way into Connecticut. I'm not sure spreading out is particularly valuable or particularly not. Okay, that puts me over here. And honestly, I don't want to play the South Dakota one because there's not a thing there. So border states, I could keep playing for Georgia, or I could guarantee myself 4 cubes, and I like the 4 cubes better. Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, Missouri. 5 cubes. Right. Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, and Missouri. Which doesn't give me anything, but you know, it continues building up a strong point. Now we're at the end of the turn. Nobody's done anything too exciting. There's a button here, and the suffragists have been collecting up cards. They've been sort of rolling in part because they have a more powerful starting position with their start card in terms of having two campaigners. So I think we just push to the next turn at this point. I'm going to play out this next turn on the same video because I don't see any real reason not to. And we're going to enter something new, which is the strategy phase. And then I think about whether or not I can back away from the game a little bit. I don't really know that I can. Again, you know, CDGs in general have this sort of, okay, what are you doing with this card? How are you optimizing your situation and everything? But we are definitely seeing strongholds, you know, being created through the card play. Some of them purely due to the historical factors of the cards themselves. Some of them due to choices that were made in terms of, you know, the enhanced campaigning capabilities that I was able to create. These both go away. The Civil War is no longer in effect, if there's anything that goes there. I didn't see the cleanup phase. Oh, here it is. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I'm going to take a little pause, but I'll be back in a moment. Big hands of cards have been dealt out before we go into the strategy phase. I want to look at the suffragist cards only, because the suffragists have a button. They can buy a strategy card. The opposition player has absolutely no control over this because they do not have a button to contest with. Okay, so this is pretty nice. Remember, Congress is really important. I can't win the game until I fire off Congress. So all these cubes I'm playing and everything, I'm playing because I don't have an opportunity to do something more important. And the manly player, the men's rights player, which, I mean, it is really very tied up, the same kind of ideas in terms of preventing women to vote. A lot of it is tied up with the same kind of feelings that, you know, prevented blacks from voting and nowadays are trying to limit, you know, rights to various different categories of people. I got another one. Petition to Congress gives me this. Playable if Civil War is not in effect. Roll a die. It adds 2 to Congress and 8 anywhere. This is very rich if I have a button left. To allow me a reroll. Because 3 through 6 is likely but not guaranteed. And this is, I mean, a D8 gets me 4.5 on average. 2D4 gets me 5 on average. So I get more cubes by campaigning, even without the bonus, with 2 characters than I would with this. And the Northeast isn't particularly important now. All the cards have been eaten from it. Receive 1 button and add 1 in 1 state of each region. That's pretty rich. 6 things and a button. So that could be the button that fuels the amendment if I want one of these cards. Union victory, playable if the Civil War is in effect. Okay, so this is automatically, I have to use this as a card, not for its event. And Union signal, receive 1 button and add 1 in 1 state of each region. Here we've got stuff magazines written by and for women, like the temperance-driven. Yeah, I was hoping there would be more linking the temperance movement, but it's kind of troublesome, you know. It's like, unless this were a multifaceted game, the wets versus dries and the women's movement versus the opposition, 1 state of each region. So again, this is 6 state markers. That's pretty good The Frederick Douglass card is pretty crappy. So let's look at these, see if there's one I want. Select one state and remove any red and add 4. So any red. You think that is all, or is it any one of the reds? Oh, shit. And add 4 cubes or remove any. Yeah, I think it wipes the opponent out. It's a reason not to concentrate the way that I did here. Your opponent must lose half of their buttons. Not useful. Look at your opponent's hand. They can discard one. You know what? I'm going to pay a button and grab the Bellwether state. Now, I've got 3 of these. I've really got to double up my actions. Because if I can keep steamrolling or snowballing by using these, that will be a powerful option. By doing this, I have to draw another strategy card. And this one's going to be regional focus. Add 1 per state in any one region. You get to fill a region with 1 thing per state. So it is kind of interesting not to want to front load states because of what can be done. Well, now there are no special restrictions, and we're here. And again, this strategy phase, if these guys had had any buttons, they could have contested the attempt to buy one. Okay. What is the most important thing for me to do? I don't have any card that I need to play first. The 15th Amendment. I view as kind of a surprise move that might get me over the edge. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not going to get me to 6. That's a shame. This cannot be played for the event. Well, I want the guaranteed threat of button, because that'll give me a reroll on this, which may give me buttons. Okay, so I'm going to grab a button, and I get 6 different thingies, 1 in each region. Okay, now knowing that there's a danger, I'm gonna push a yellow back into Vermont there. Illinois is the good place. I'll put one there. Pennsylvania is the good place. I'll put one there. In the Deep South, Georgia is the only good place. I'll get rid of one of those. Out here in the West, Montana is the good place. Yeah, I'm going to throw a yellow out in Montana. And then in the West, there's nothing terribly interesting. I'll put a purple in Oregon because, hey, that's where I am. And on top of that, it was the next state in the line. Okay. I don't know if we'll make it through this turn before I get tired. Okay, let's look at what the conservative side has, but I need to swap batteries. Right, 15th divides suffragists. Playable if 15th Amendment is in effect. Remove all purple in 4 states. The suffragist loses 2 thingies. And that's only affecting purple. That's very interesting. That's a powerful card. Knowing that this affects purple and it's here would be a useful thing in terms of play of the game. Now I'm assuming things can be just as nasty on yellow, so I don't know. So I can't do this yet, but I want to hold on to it. Joseph Brown removes a congressional, so I want to hold on to him. This removes a congressional, I want to hold it. Draw 6 cards from your draw deck. Place any number of them on the top of your draw deck and the rest at the bottom. Okay, that's interesting. because it's going to accelerate the later deck to whatever degree you want. I don't know how valuable that is, though. It almost feels to me like, as the conservative player, this is an era when I should be stronger, but I'm not sure. Place one each in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. That is very rich. Beer brewers. Hey, here we go again. Playable if 18th Amendment is not in effect. For the remainder of the turn, roll a d6 instead of a 4 when taking campaigning. Okay, that worked really, really well for the suffragist, but I only have one token. So I'm looking at, instead of 2.5 expected value, a 3.5 expected value. But a lot of the cards do rather nicely. For example, this one removes all yellows in up to 2 states. That's a powerful hit, which I can definitely play right now. I kind of want a button, though. Buttons allow me rerolls. I might need one here. Unfortunately, how do I get buttons again? Is it a D4 or? No, I will just get one because I only have one campaigner. So I'm at a real disadvantage because of the campaigners quantity. How badly do I want a button? I'll take one. I don't know. So what do I get for Georgia? I get 2. I get 2 for Georgia. So campaigning in Georgia will likely get me a button. No, I need 3 to succeed there. Oi, 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 oi. Okay, where is the one? Southern Hospitality. We'll play that. Okay. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. It's a good card. Starts setting me up, but I'm so worried. It's definitely asymmetrical. And you think of 1960, both players have similar things that they can do. This is becoming very clear that the powers are a little different. The decks are significantly different. Okay, going back here, what was I going to do? This is garbage. I have my button. What did I want to use my button for? Oh, I thought I could play this because it gives me 2 buttons. Oh well. But this is the card I cannot play. Gosh. So I can get 2, 3, 4. If I could get 2 6s, I would have a chance of throwing it to the vote right now. Yeah, on this turn. And then, well, this may not be the best time to do it because there are a lot of states with red markers on it. So maybe I don't want Congress to push the issue forward. I'll play Anna Dickinson, grab myself a button, and one in one state of each region. Again, spreading out because it seems safer. Over here, though, I'll put in Illinois because that's a rich state. The rich one here are Pennsylvania is the more important out of the 2. So I'll put this here. In the South, Georgia's the important one. I keep picking it off. In the West, Montana's important. We'll put another cube in Montana. And, well, in the plains, sorry. And in the deep West, we'll expand into Washington. Where does that put me? 15th's not in play. There's no congressional stuff. Beer Brewers' 18th Amendment is not in effect. For the remainder of the turn, roll a d6. See, I just don't really feel like that's all that advantageous. We're going to play the gerrymandering, and we will kill Connecticut and California. Okay. It's got a nice pace to the game, you know, and these guys tend to, but there's not a lot getting in the way. It's just playing the cards and exchanging cubes and whatnot. I don't really recall. I think 1960 had it too. It's a nice lighter game than like Twilight Struggle, which I don't consider heavy at all, but you have to stop and do coups and stuff like that. For the most part here, you're just following the cards if they have an event or not. Oh shit, I'm forgetting about these suckers. Okay, I gotta pay attention to these. Is there a state I want to target? Yeah. Virginia's rich, and what else do I want to do? And yeah, I lost track of all my bonus cards. Virginia's rich, and I want to... I really have to beat up on the places he is, but I don't want to spend a button to move if I don't need to. But moving, I could get Illinois, which gets me a lot of vote capability. All right. We'll play this one because it's garbage. I can't do anything with it. Although this might be more valuable. All right. I'm going to play a button. Do I want to play one or two? To move into the Atlantic, I'm going to roll 2 dice. Hold on. Is there a state where he's relatively rich? He's rich in Virginia. That's one of the key states. All right. I'm going to roll my dice first. No harm in doing that, I think. So I get a 4 and a 2. The 2 I'm going to put out west. The 4 is going to go over here. That 4 is going to get me 2 purple in Pennsylvania. I have 2 more, which I can place, which I will clear out West Virginia and Kentucky, 1 of each. And the 2 gets me some yellows. I'll continue spreading. Spread, spread, spread. Hey, what's up? We want California back. So that's this card, but I've got this one that I wanted to play. I can remove any reds. I take them out of Virginia, and I can put 4 of either color in there. I'm going to split this because that works nicely. And that allows me to claim Virginia and Pennsylvania because I have 4 in each, continuing that snowball effect. it feels like, with the dominating the states capability that I've been showing, that the suffragists, I don't want to offend them, the poor women, will, and it's, not all women were in favor of giving women the vote. That's how crazy things are. Just like not all women are in favor of women having control over their bodies, Same kind of crap. Okay. But yeah, it does feel like there's an advantage towards collecting these things up from there. There's just more power. The event cards seem to favor the opposition right now. No states. Progress, not politics, beer brewers. Rolling those sixes just doesn't seem that big an advantage. It seems like I can get twice as much. Do I want to push the event deck further? I don't know. This is a card that you'd really kind of have to know the decks to play. And one of the problems I have with games like this is I kind of don't believe in knowing the decks. Part of it is that I feel like the events should be somewhat surprising. Presumably this is good for the opposition to play. Presumably. I have no buttons. God. I could get one. I could get lucky and get Georgia. I could play this, but see, 2 4s is going to give me an average of 5, whereas a single 6 gets me 3.5 on average. So again, not a good deal. I'll take my shot at Georgia. I'm rolling a 3, for a 3. I'm hoping I get a 3. I only get a 2, but that means, all things equal, because Georgia comes with 2 buttons. It's a way for me to get them. But we go back over here. I'm thinking about holding the 15th Amendment, not because I can't get it, but because I don't know that I want to put that much into Congress the way the board is right now. Frederick Douglass, what does he want to do? Montana is growing. I'm going to petition Congress. So I put one of them in. Oh, I pick one of these. Pick this one. That'll help blow away some of the states there and make the congressional action a little bit more pleasing. Okay. I had one in each region. In one state of each region. Put something in Montana, that'll get me the Montana card. Just collect them all up, man. Georgia, constantly the war for Georgia. Illinois, again, a constant fight to get in there. That gets us to the, over here, I pluck something off. Up here in the Northeast. Well, the Northeast no longer has a person in it, so we'll grab Connecticut. And now I fire this off, which gives me 6. And what I want to make sure of is that the conservative side doesn't have an easy route to getting a lot of X's on the board. Okay. Well, 3 of my cards, 2 of them are, yeah, they're all cards I like. They play, oh, Congress is in play. Yeah. I get rid of this, I get 2 in Georgia. That gets me the Georgia card, finally, finally. I can't use it right away, but I can next time. All right. All that's left is Illinois. Illinoisy. And it's real close. Don't really want to spend a button to get to the Midwest, but Illinois is so valuable that maybe I need to. Okay. We'll do that. Who do we move there? And we get to roll a pair of these. I get a 3 on each. Let's do the Midwest one first. That gets me Illinois. Oh, I gotta pick someone. Let's play them on. And play Virginia. Okay. That was 1. I have 3 more in Illinois. Let's clear out some of the western facing stuff there. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit. And then the other one is 3 in this mid-Atlantic, and again, I'm just going to clear out their pieces. Now this is weird because I really should have looked at these first. I draw 2 of these, and I discard 1 and the other one's in effect. Okay, Vindication of Rights of Women. Draw 2 cards, discard 1 and play the other for its event immediately, okay? Receive a button and add 1 in one state of each region. Do I want to burn through my deck? Again, I don't know, you know? I don't know if there are good cards at the beginning or not. But this card seems pretty decent. So I will take a button because they seem valuable, and 1 thing in each state, in each region. Okay. 1 thing in each region. Okay. 1, 2. Georgia doesn't matter anymore. Even if it's a no vote, who cares? Nothing matters much. Over here. Put a yellow in West Virginia. Oh, put it in Maryland. It doesn't make a difference. Yeah, I know. But maybe it does. And then over here, we'll get some in Rhode Island. Okay. And that was this. So that puts it over here. Well, I'm definitely going to play Georgia for 2 buttons. 15th Amendment's not played. I really want to do that. And on a 3 through 6, I can remove a thing. Can't really do that. So this is the card I want to play. I certainly don't want it for its special event. I am going to grab a button with that card. Beer guy is a little broken. Gotta get some glue in him. Okay. And then here I get 2 more buttons. The Oppobot part to the card, that can be kind of confusing to me. That, you know, they did the good move of putting of giving the Applebot their own deck, but the state cards and the strategy cards don't have it. Okay, we're down to the last 2 cards. I gotta swap batteries. A little less worried about jumping 2 of these forward. However, give me some buttons to challenge. Seems like not a bad idea. So we'll grab a, oh wait, we got lots of different types. I need a 3 through 6 to succeed with this. Seems like a good idea compared to everything else. I have buttons I can spend if need be. But I get a success. And 2 cubes in South Dakota. That's the end of the round. Cleanup. There's nothing in there. That is going to put us to turn 3. All right, gonna load this up, and it's gonna be a while before the next one goes up because I definitely have to get some of my addiction in, unfortunately. I'm in the middle of an event, and I'm already a little nervous about how far I am, but spending gems or whatever, the main currency of the game is, other than cash money, is I've already spent a fair amount on this event of my gems. I don't mind blowing them all to get what I'm getting, but I do mind if I blow them all and don't get what I'm getting.